And welcome to this Peel Yourself Off the Mat edition, a Monday edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForest. Very happy to be back with you this week after a fantastic weekend. We even have big-time action going on today on a number of fronts, not the least of which is the tournament director's dream matchup of Sinner and Alcaraz to finish
Oof.
off the ATP 1000 Masters tournament in Cincinnati. And you have an intriguing, as my good friend Al Bernstein used to say about these preliminary fighters that were making their pro debut, an intriguing matchup on the women's side, too, with the oncoming Iga Swiatek, the
Yeah.
Polish wonderkind, who seems to have recaptured her form, especially after winning Wimbledon, and now is in the final against that little ball of bouillabaisse there, Paolini, who has manufactured a way through the tournament. Interesting matchups there. That's taking place in Cincinnati. We have Mike Jones with us, though. And Mike, of course, is chomping at the bit. A late Friday night surge saves him from an otherwise degenerate bloodbath this weekend.
Yeah.
What weren't you involved in? I guess we should start.
No, I mean it's fun, but getting to your tennis, I think what was interesting is Coco Gauff was a 2-1 over 2-1 favorite. So you steal Paolini as an underdog yesterday, and if you like Swiatek betting live, you got her plus 170 down 5-3 in the first set, thinking she comes back and she wins in straight sets. So you got some value as underdogs following tennis to get to this ladies' final, which Swiatek is a 6-1 favorite. So I would think I'm going to go with the 1.5 sets, so she wins in straight sets. Late
He's
one,
a 6-1 favorite over
6-1 favorite over Paolini. Yeah, Paolini came into this tournament not right. They thought physically she had some issues, so she was down, and I jumped against her a little bit and then backed off a little bit, and then went back on her against Goff. And, having some fun things, playing around. I mean, nothing major betting, just messing around with my wife is a huge tennis fan on TV. So I follow it pretty closely. And I think what we're seeing here today is I think Swiatek is stepping her game up, and she and I have a difference of opinion. I think Swiatek's going to win the U.S. Open, and I think you might get a little bit of a price with her.
3-1
today. Yeah. Yeah. I think her game, I think her serve has more pace. Her ground strokes have a little bit more pace. I think if she gets through the mental part, and we talk about this, the psychological part of accomplishing what she should do, I think she could be okay. So I like her today a lot, but I don't know that I'd lay 6-1.
Yeah, destroyed Rybakina in the semifinal round, and that was no easy out. She had just hammered Rybakina and hammered Sabalenka, the number one player, is vulnerable many, many times also, but nonetheless, an impressive victory, and then it just gets destroyed, dissected by Swiatek in the ensuing round. All right, football was on the agenda, and you had a wild Friday night, and then before the show that this kind of balanced out an otherwise a very treacherous weekend.
Yeah, well, my team looked pretty good Saturday night. We had some moments. I'm sure we'll get into that on on the Big Gunner podcast. But things are looking up in Giant Land, and saw a little bit what I wanted to see out of Dallas Cowboys, the struggles against the Ravens that they. I thought the Ravens laying 1 on the road. I thought that was interesting. I just thought they have a better personnel team, and I think Dallas still coming across as Micah Parsons drama. I don't know if that is that kind of a distraction. Not to put money on a preseason game, but I thought the Ravens would be a play a little bit, and they kind of dominated the game. I thought
John Harbaugh's back, man.
Remember,
he won like 400 straight preseason games.
Yes,
and then had a down year or two, and everybody got buried on that because it was one of those narratives that you actually embrace. In the preseason, certain coaches always win, and then they get off to a 2-0 start. I believe. What were they underdogs in both games?
They were 1-point favorite yesterday, and a dog against the Colts. I think we call a small dog. Yeah, but what you're seeing now is the totals came back a little bit this week. It wasn't as the lavish of the overs. They had some unders. Yesterday was a very interesting game when you saw Spencer Rattler get into a tie situation. So you have Jacksonville minus 3.5, and you're coasting away thinking that this is going to be no problem. And then sure enough, you have a chance with getting a late score and then a 2-point conversion. Then what was really fascinating was, if you're paying attention, was at 17-17. We have this kicker Little hits a 70-yarder the week before. So one of the things I was talking about with somebody is how you don't want to leave time on the clock or think things are okay when you score, because these kickers now and the ball possession after the kickoff, 1 first down, and you're almost in field goal range. If you get a 20-yard play, you can hit a 70-yarder. So now what happens is the guy throws an interception, and wouldn't you know it, not unlikely the player was going to run it back for a touchdown. Instead of getting out of bounds and leaving your time to kick the winning field goal in field goal range, he ran for that extra second and trying to score and end up stepping out of bounds with 0 on, or else then what you would have a chance to New Orleans to win.
What a way to go down, or to win.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. Now that put you on the winning side, that particular
I
play?
mean, just money line bets. You know, you have a money line bet on New Orleans, you feel pretty good. You know, you think you have no shot at halftime, and sure enough, you get back into it. It's just no winning side, just analyzing what would be. You know, analyzing, you know, some things yesterday. You know, when you're sitting there watching the Phillies get off to a 6-0 start, and you have a bet on the Phillies. Hey, let's take Washington to 13-1, down 6-0, and the next inning it's 6-6. You know, you're sitting there looking like, okay, you're hedging out a bet, which you lose. But by the same token, you've gotten a bet that you have a guaranteed win on both sides because you're up 6-0. And don't kid yourself, Milwaukee's won these games. You're up 5-0 in the Major League Baseball in the third inning. Nothing's guaranteed anymore.
Yeah.
So that's just the way we
would be to just take the other side at that.
Yeah, just take the other side, a small bet just to hedge out. Maybe, hey, you take a $100 win to make it an $80 win or no loss. It's just a thought. I mean, it's just nothing, you know, we're not trying to change the way you look at it, but these live bets give you so much. And I don't know that they're really incorporating. It's analytics over data over a long time. Are they incorporating what we're watching over the last couple of months? That teams are trying to get relief pitching. It's a struggle throughout baseball, finding quality relief pitching. And, you know, the good teams went out and got them and, you know, you got the guys they wanted at the trade deadline. That's just what I'm looking at, is seeing how the game is evolving. But it's a big difference. The Marlins last night, how about 8-1 in the ninth inning? 11-1 in the ninth inning. You come back and you get 4 against a guy who's been lights out closer. I mean, there's none of these leads are safe, right? You know, and it's kind of one of these things that happen. You got, what was the Braves yesterday? So the Braves are plus 290 down 4-1 in the fifth inning. They got Acuna back. Why can't they come back and win? They sure win them 5-4 and you win. So no lead safe in baseball. So that means go grab an underdog, have some fun on it on a bet. Or if you have a side that you feel like you're really good going away, guaranteed no loss. Just a thought. Just the way I think and analyzing it.
It's a little bit of a different strategy than trying to predict the outcome of the game before it happens.
That's right.
Taking a point spread or whatever. And now, I mean, you're almost tempted. It's kind of like not playing the pass line in craps. You figure this guy hasn't rolled a point in his lifetime, so why would you bet on that? But at the same time, he may roll some numbers. So you go ahead and you make a profit on what otherwise might have been a bad roll. But you weren't in at the beginning. And so, I mean, it seems like your best strategy in gambling these days is just to wait till a team is hopelessly down and then send it in.
Yeah.
And you're getting a lot of complete reversals that you never used to see this in sport.
No.
Baseball wasn't it wasn't like soccer where it's 1-0 and the British announcer comes on and goes, "Oh, this lead should be insurmountable," and you're like, "Go fuck yourself, insurmountable." But I mean, we're like dramatic turnarounds in all sports for that matter. I don't know if we'll see. I'm sure we'll see a couple of games in football. Like,
I think there was a game. There was a time like 6-7 years ago where I was watching where I think every week there were 2 or 3 10-point leads in the fourth quarter blown in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you just feel like that. You know, things like that can happen so often as the pressure gets on you. And I feel like the younger player, this generation, handles that sports pressure a little differently. You know, it's like, you know, it's just a psychological part of this that I've been studying with some guys that really look into this. They say the numbers are great. If you tell the team won, 15 in a row, like it was a funny story real quick, but when the Yankees had 16 straight unders, I had no idea. I was playing a little bit, but not paying attention to that particular stat. I'm in my car. I hear I go 16 straight unders. I call the guys a psychological part of betting. I said, man, the Yankees have 16 straight unders. I'm going to take the under today. He goes, you're nuts. Take the over. Why? It wouldn't have made a statement until you heard it. You wouldn't have thought it. He goes, a psychological part of betting. Now you're going to jump on something, and it's going to lose. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, would you have bet this if you didn't see this trend? Right. And I'm like, he's giving me this lecture, and the game goes over. It's like there's just a different avenue of where you go when you're constantly
being late to the party, though.
Yeah, it's just we're talking about gambling.
Yeah, you get on something just at the time it turns around, kind of like the way I timed the real estate market in 2008.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
still remember my late great father saying to me, "Hey, the good news is, Jeff, you own 3 houses, and the bad news is you own 3 houses," which turned out to be a disaster. But yeah, I mean, I'm always late to the party. You see some jockeys winning every race, all of a sudden he falls off the horse,
Sure.
indicate the time that you have money riding on it. It's part of the exasperating fun that makes us all. I mean, we're all fueled largely by self sabotage, are we not?
Yeah.
To this day, my mother's premise that if I had never gambled a dollar, I'd be far better off today
Oh, without question.
holds a very deep and profound truth in my advancing age. So,
But
yeah,
when we have these
what fun would it
stories,
be? Yeah,
Jeff, when
exactly.
we have these stories, we would have these
Oh.
life memories of the bad beat of all time and
And the
the
games
helmet.
wouldn't have been as imposing. I mean, in terms of your level of not only entertainment, but you can remember all of these things years
Yes.
after the fact, right?
Yeah, I can
Years.
remember. I the worst beat of all time for me was Russell Wilson's interception in the Super Bowl against New England.
Oh
Don't
my!
have that memory. I have Seattle, and we're
I can
sitting there.
still envision that play, and I didn't have, as I recall, any substantial rooting interest in either team. But I think I had a little bit of an anti-patriot bias, and I was
Sure,
shocked. Yeah, to see that. That was amazing. Tom Brady with his all of his rings. I mean, he got lucky on
yeah,
a couple of occasions.
sure.
That's for sure. Now he may have also suffered some bad luck because what, they went to 9 Super Bowls in that period of
Yeah,
time?
yeah. So he was 6-3 and
Wow.
won his 10th with
Imagine that, 9 Super
Tampa.
Bowls in a 20-year
Yeah,
span.
yeah. That's
That's
just with New England. He won his 10th, his 7-3 with when he won with Tampa. But
yeah.
yeah, but it's just when you're looking at it right now, you got to look at the Atlanta Super Bowl with Brady. That clearly was the one he should have lost. I blame that on Schottenheimer not running the
I
play
couldn't
clock
believe it.
down.
Yeah.
Tired, that, and to this day, I think they ran 98 plays in that game. Was the most offensive plays run by a team in the Super Bowl. So they kind of wore Atlanta down, and during that comeback, and Atlanta was,
What was this man thinking? That's
yeah,
what you ask yourself. I mean,
yeah, it was really weird. We studied this game in depth about how to control timing in the game, and with 8 minutes to go in that game, Brian Schottenheimer ran 4 or 5 plays with 20 seconds or more on the shot on the play clock.
yeah,
Up
crazy.
12 that day. Yeah, it's just they're in field goal range. They decide to throw. They get a holding penalty, a sack. They're out of field goal range. You got to punt. Give them the ball back. They went a 21-yard line with Julio Jones making an unbelievable catch. All they got to do is run the ball 3 times, kick a field goal with 3 minutes to go, up 11. It's over. Instead, they get penalties, and under 5 minutes, the play clock stops, the game clock stops, and they all of a sudden they couldn't run the play out. And yeah, I mean, it's just go back in time and look at that. It's with Schottenheimer,
Yeah,
not Schottenheimer, Shanahan. I'm sorry,
Shanahan. Yeah,
Kyle Shanahan. Right, did that. It's just it's
disgrace.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
he never have had another opportunity to coach again. Although he has had a share of success
yep,
there in San Francisco, but
yeah.
they now appear to be snake bit by injuries
Mm-hmm.
and departures. So we'll see if they hold any status this year in the National Football League. All right. Any conclusions, though, after watching all of this stuff here? Because I know, and I read this story today, and I found it remarkable that because I used to deal constantly covering the Miami Dolphins in Miami for so many years in Dolphin Minutia on talk shows, where you felt compelled to know who the was going to win the battle for third string backup long snapper, and people would actually call and they were concerned about these sort of things. But
Mm-hmm.
since I haven't been doing that the talk show thing and not associated with the organization, I don't know anything about what's going on at
Mm-hmm.
that level, and nor do I care. But in New York, they are, I mean, obsessed with the idea that Jackson Dart should become the backup quarterback for the New York Giants. Now, was that your idea that you floated out there in a Big Gunner podcast? Or,
Well,
I mean, and does it
yeah,
matter? I don't know. Why would you have Jameis Winston on your roster? He's not a low priced. I don't know what kind of deal they got him on, but the guy was making some money for a backup quarterback because he actually gives you a chance to sort of, if a miracle happens, be a decent starter. If you have to have a guy play 5 or 6 games.
here's where I think this should go, and I hope it does. So ESPN had a discussion today that finally what I've been saying came out with Mike Greenberg and Dan Orlovsky going at Mike Tannenbaum. Tannenbaum is promoting this. It's on Instagram about the Giants starting Dart because he did the same thing with Mark Sanchez with the Jets when he was a GM. And the year after Brett Favre came in, they drafted Sanchez, and he's saying that Dart's had a much better preseason than Sanchez is. We ran Sanchez through it, started him right away, got to the championship game 2 years in a row. It's the right move to make. Dart's the future of the franchise, all that stuff.
He wants to start over Wilson?
Say again? No, this is going back to Mike Tannenbaum in 2007. Like going back to.
But is he suggesting that Dart should?
Oh yeah, no. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I misread you. Yes, he suggested Dart should start. My thought is this: if you're going to bring Jameis Winston in at that time, you didn't have Russell Wilson in the fold. So you thought right now Winston was going to be your bridge. You don't know that you're drafting Dart at this time. You don't know you're going to get a chance to draft Dart. You're debating what to do at 3. And you go with Carter. So you only know you're getting Dart when you make the trade up that draft day. At that point, they already have Wilson. So to me, the thought is this: Russell Wilson, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Jameis Winston, a bad journeyman backup who actually should get kudos for throwing for 5,000 yards on a losing record, 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns a year before Tom Brady went to Tampa and won the Super Bowl. So Tampa had tools that Brady saw, but Winston played well, but turned it over too much. Winston's gotten a little better. I thought he had some good wins with Cleveland last year. I like bringing him in. A good locker room guy. Love his energy. Giants need that. They've been struggling with losing attitude. He brings some positivity. But here's the catch, in my opinion. Dart's preseason now tells me that I think he will be the number 2 quarterback instead of Winston, if it's not an injury early. I think if you give Wilson 3 or 4 games, Dart a chance to look at it. If something drastic happens, you go 0-4. I think they might move Dart in ahead of Winston at that point because of what happens. But I think the first 3 games, an early injury to Wilson would probably get Winston in the game probably slightly before Dart. The problem I have with Mike Tannenbaum was his statement with Dart should start because the Giants are in a different predicament than they've ever been in. They're coming off a 3-14 season. They have a coach that's on a chopping block, a GM that's on a chopping block. They need to be competitive and win fast. They can't if they go 0-4, 0-5, throw Dart in there, the season's gone. The fan base wants to rip apart Brian Dable, and it's over at that point. Yeah. So to me, I think the Jets were coming off a 9-7 season when he did this with Sanchez. They came off a year with Brett Favre, had a great defense, and a new coach, Rex Ryan's first year. So none of this is the same situation that the Giants are in now. So I really look at it like, would I like to see Dart? Am I impressed with him? Absolutely. I thought he was fantastic Saturday night. But again, it's similar to what you see when Dak Prescott had a great preseason, jumped in and did it, moved over with Tony Romo and made the move with Dallas. I just look at it like he's not ready. I don't want to put him into the fire just yet. These are preseason games. Let Russell Wilson go. See what you get with Wilson in a couple of games. You might get a win or 2. I think we're going to be in good shape to win both games. We're going to be very competitive at Washington and at Dallas. See what happens. If it starts steamrolling and goes awry, you have a decision to make. But I think right now what the Giants are doing is putting themselves on the right course.
Mike Tannenbaum, wow. Yeah. I mean, he personally buried 2 franchises.
I think so.
Sanchez decision that he made, and then signing him subsequently to a crippling salary cap, impending, influencing type of deal, was a disaster with the Jets. And people would contend, and I think they're correct, that Sanchez had very little to do.
Right.
Was among the least influential components of the Jets making these 2 AFC championship games, which was a bit of a fluke in and of itself, even though it involved your man, the great tuna himself, Bill Parcells. So, I mean, to think that this guy was now an analyst and people are supposed to listen to and respect. I mean, it's like all of these guys; they just schlub around, and their qualifications are literally in this guy's case. He was a kiss of death for 2 franchises.
Yeah.
The Dolphins didn't recover and still haven't completely recovered and may never from the Tannenbaum regime. Now, granted, they had been floundering before he got here, but nonetheless, I mean, for this guy to be espousing what teams shouldn't do, it does seem.
I mean, the show's interesting, but it was just he's take now on 3 different shows, and I'm like shaking my head. And I went back and actually looked at the records and analyzed why he's behind this.
Yeah.
Because Jets had a roster. Jets had success. They were 9-7 a year before. I think if the Giants were 9-7 last year, Daniel Jones wasn't the right answer. We all knew it. We would put Dart in there and try. We wouldn't have went after Will. We'd have realized that was the problem. But the Giants have offensive line problems, which has played better in the preseason. Against Buffalo week 1, we won 51 passing snaps without a sack. I think I don't know if I even saw a sack, maybe one last night against the Jets, Saturday night against the Jets. So the offensive line is playing much better. And I think that the key to all these teams, and you can say what you want about everything, it's the offensive line that drives the team. The quarterback, give any of these guys time, they're gonna beat you. That's the bottom line. If you give them an extra half a second, that's it. So if you hold up on a line, you can withstand a pass rush. That's good. The Giants won their games in the 80s, the Super Bowls in the 80s with the offensive, defensive lines, and they're along the same lines in 2007 and 2011. You're going to win with being successful on both offensive and defensive fronts. That's where the game's in the trenches. So I hope the Giants will look better. We look better. On paper, our front four defensively looks really good. Drafting Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau looks a lot better than he has in years past. Dexter Lawrence hasn't even gotten on the field, but the defense has applied some pressure. So I mean, I'm bullish. I'm going to go over 5.5.
My goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going over 5.5 wins, and I'm giving it out here with a little plus juice, only because I know the schedule is hard, and I was glad to hear Adam Schefter say this morning. Schedules aren't what they're made out to be. Every year, some teams up, some teams down. You could always take, and I say this to everybody, you got 8 divisions. You could always take a team projected for last place in that division. They're probably going to win one over the course of a year. Don't be surprised if Chicago's last in their Central, and who knows if Ben Johnson becomes a miracle worker, can they win that division? Teams get injuries.
I was betting them to win the Super Bowl after
right. I mean,
last night.
Yeah. So I mean, since this is what happens. It happens all the time. Do the studies, and I've done them. So if you go take all 8 last place teams that win their division, I bet you get one team.
You think you get one home? All right, interesting.
I think you get one home. Sure, I really do.
Let's turn our attention to today's board. You have a lot of Major League Baseball going today. We mentioned the tennis. You're getting plus 140. If you believe in my man Carlos Alcaraz, who you can't help but be a fan of. Real gentleman out there, plays the game with all. I mean, it's like watching Zorro out there, like cutting up the shorts of Sergeant Garcia. Just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Fantastic. Sinner has been steady as a rock, virtually unbeatable. And I don't even think, has he given up a point? Not even a game. He's barely even given up a point in the tournament. So would you take a plus 140 on Carlos Alcaraz and take a shot just to have some action, maybe for a small amount of money? Or Ivan Lukic all in with the Russians?
Here's my issue. My issue with that is Sinner's a 192 favorite I saw on one of my logs. That tells me they're saying something that Sinner at hard court might be his advantage.
Look, he looks great.
I don't know. It's hard. I like what you're seeing there. Always want to, when in doubt, take the underdog. We've been talking about that. If you can't think of it, I would never have a problem going either way. I would think Sinner would win, but I'm with you. Grab the price.
Yeah, Carlos, he's shown some vulnerabilities here and there that Sinner isn't displaying, but he's beaten better competition to get to this point also.
Mm-hmm.
So he's mowed down a couple of tough customers to make it to this stage. Although he played Zverev in the last round, and Zverev ran out of gas. There was something wrong with him even from the previous night, and so he ended up just kind of tanking the last few games. Stayed out there, to his credit, but. Carlos shows vulnerability here and there, yet you can't rule him out. So plus 140 looks a little appealing to me, although I don't know that I'd go heavy on that. All right, anything on the baseball slate?
Let's talk about, as much as it was about 3 weeks ago, this would have been a big series for Major League Baseball. Not so much, but it's still interesting. So Milwaukee heads to Chicago to play 5 games. 5-game series, starting off with a doubleheader today at the early game at 2:20. Freddie Peralta against Horton. The Cubs are favored. Why? But I said to someone yesterday, the Brewers are smoking and mirrors, get unbelievable comeback wins. Thought they were going to pull another one off after Contreras. It's a 2-run homer in the 9th inning, give them a 2-1 lead. They don't hold on. Maybe the luck's run out. For some reason, I think getting Freddie Peralta dog should be one of the lock, but I'm going to go with Chicago in game 1 just to see that, hey, they had a little vibe yesterday, getting a couple wins after having tied with the Pirates, who've always given them headaches. Maybe they're ready for this. This is their time. I'm going to take the Cubs in game 1, lay the 118 and 119 with Horton over Peralta against my better judgment because I rode the Brewers well. And
Yep.
I picked them at the halfway point. Just got a sneaky suspicion by that line telling me the Cubs are favored. It surprises me that tells me the Cubs might be deciding game one. So that's one game.
Okay.
Game number two, I'm going to go out to I thought that was a very interesting series this weekend in LA. So the Padres coming off, make this great run to get a 1-game lead, head to LA to play the Dodgers. Dodgers coming off all the struggles they've had, losing 3 straight to the Angels. Oh, talking about that. What happens? Dodgers get the sweep. They right the ship. Well, here come the Giants, losers of 7 of 8. Cortez against Ray. Ray's been great as a lefty. Got a sneaky suspicion. Padres got something after being down 4-0, tying the game, losing on a Betts home run in the 9th inning. Better pen clearly with the Padres. I like the Padres lay 137 this spot that they start chasing back a little bit. Might get it. I would be surprised if it's a series sweep over the Giants.
Okay. Makes some sense.
Yep. And then we're going to go to two more I got. The Red Hot Orioles. I'm joking when I say Red Hot Orioles, but they did get 2 wins, and it was very interesting to see the kid Young get his first win in front of his hometown crowd, almost throwing a perfect game on I guess it was Saturday. It was such an interesting watch. His mother and father in the stands going nuts, not realizing he was even perfect through 5. He said I didn't realize it. And they get Rogers and the Orioles. The best pitcher goes up and plays Dustin May from the Red Sox. Red Sox, after that really rough loss last year, I think it's still giving them a little hangover. So I'm going to take my little dog today with the Orioles plus 107.
Very good. All right.
One last one. We're going to go with our Marlins after a big win.
Wow.
But they carry that momentum, getting the Cardinals, going against my theory of the road team. The Marlins coming back after 6 games on the road. I'm going to take a shot with them tonight with Perez over Liberatore, 139. Lay them with the Marlins. So I'm giving you 4 today.
All right. Any thought on the Bengals-Commanders game?
Yeah, I would go over first half just to see who's playing. I guess I'd kind of get the report where you get a series out of Burrow, get one out of Daniels.
Yeah.
The thought yesterday was a very interesting thought. I like betting these overs first half. Game went from 21.5 to 20.5. Very big key number to move over 21. Sharps bet it under 28-0 Chicago first half. Don't be afraid of that line move, as they always say. I just look at both teams' defenses haven't really performed up to par recently. Maybe the depth doesn't happen, and I just see a little bit of difference with these defenders, and these injuries and things like that. I just not seeing the 100% tackling is all there yet. So offense is having a little edge this preseason. I'm going to go with the over first half.
Over first half in the football game tonight.
Yep.
Excellent. Very thorough job there, Mike Jones. You were definitely inspired by an interesting weekend. And, of course, it's always great to have all kinds of action going on Monday afternoon here. Thanks so much, as always, for being with us. It's always a pleasure. We'll catch you again on Thursday.
Yep.
And people will be with you again tomorrow, the next edition. For Mike Jones, I'm Jeff DeForest, the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.